Shukran as well. Can you expound on the credit cards that you spoke on in the first Friday night, last night? You said you the allowance of it or the forbiddance of it, credit cards?
Yeah. Short answer, actually, yes, you can use the credit card because of the need of it. That's number one. And number two, when you use it, you limit yourself to purchasing. Stay away from cash withdrawal because that would necessitate interest. Stay away from. Yeah. Make sure that you pay the credit balance in full, and you pay it before the due date, so to avoid any interest. As long as you limit yourself to those guidelines, then you can use a credit card. It doesn't mean that credit card is halal by default. No, it's not. But because there is a need for it, you still can use it while avoiding the transaction that necessitates interest.
What is the... Let me just...
راح تمشي كثير اليوم برضه.
لا مش What is the specific difference between bonds and Social Security?
I don't think we are comparing apple to apple. Bonds actually is an interest-bearing loan. You lend the federal government, and you receive the principal plus interest on top of it. So the basic agreement is a loan. It's a loan contract. Social Security is not a loan. It's a different agreement. It's a bilateral agreement. It's a subscription system. You pay a certain amount of money, and in return you will be getting certain compensation in certain events. But if those unfortunate events did not happen, you will receive nothing. So two different.
Logically, isn't it the same thing? You pay an amount of money and you get more. No, it's a certain amount. A guarantee. It's like prize money.
You pay amount of money and you get more.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with that? If you make a business, you buy wholesale, okay, you pay money, you buy wholesale commodities, and you sell them for more. So you invest 1,000 in business, and you get it 1,500. What's the difference?
No, it's not the same thing.
What's the difference?
Bonds are like you pay money and you get more, right? It's the same thing with the Social Security. You're paying money and a specific amount of money, and you get more, a lot more.
Well,
It's
yeah, paying money and getting more in return is haram whenever there is a loan contract involved or whenever there is a sale contract involved, because only two different contracts in Islam are subject to riba. Okay, the loan contract and the sale contract. If there is no loan and there is no sale contract agreement, then you're good to go. I mean, there is no even possibility of interest to get involved in it. You see, it's only loan contract and sale contract, and the transaction in question, Social Security and insurance, there is no loan. You are not lending anyone, and you are not buying anything. It's a different agreement. Well, you can call it sale contract, and you buy a product, but that product actually is a financial one in nature, or it could be something else. If it is a liability insurance, you will not be getting actual cash money. You will be having the liability insurance company taking care of your car. Okay, fix it if it is damaged, or just replace it if it is totally damaged. So it's a different agreement in nature. Make sense? Alhamdulillah.
I think I just wanted to add on to the insurance thing is that I think when you presented the commercial insurance issue, you presented three defects in the commercial insurance. The
Jahala and riba.
And so those three, I guess what we were confused is that later on when you said you changed your opinion, you didn't address those three defects and try to understand what was the basis for that.
Yeah, when I changed my mind, actually, it was based on the fact that number one, there is no difference in nature and the life insurance from one side and any social security agreement from the other side. And the other thing is that I do not believe that there is a gharar or jahala or riba. Well, the gharar actually or the ambiguity is I mean, that does not exist to start with, because I know the return of investment from day one. It is guaranteeing a certain amount of money. When you hire a bodyguard, for example, like you are a VIP, and you hire a bodyguard, okay, that bodyguard actually might spend the whole month long doing nothing more than just smoking and drinking coffee, right? And he does deserve a certain amount of money because of staying with you for that, for that whole month. He is always standby. If someone comes closer to you, wants to like tackle you, he will be defending you. Because of that service, which is the security that he's providing for you, he deserves $5,000 check toward the end of the month. And the life insurance company is providing you financial security. They're telling you, go ahead and just pass away, rest in peace. Once you make it, I will take care of your kids. Don't worry. I will. Do you have kids? You don't know. I will take care of your family. So it's a financial security that they provide. To answer your question, there is no gharar, there is no ambiguity or uncertainty to start with. The return of investment is well known from day one. It is actually the obligation or guaranteeing certain amount of money whenever a certain incident happens. So based on that, I mean, there is no difference between life insurance, liability insurance, health insurance, house insurance, business. It's the same, to my knowledge. Wallahu a'lam.
Let me just give the sisters if they have a question. Anybody in the back? All right. This side? Okay, sure.
Sorry if you covered it yesterday. My question about zakah in 401k. If it is stopped, there is zakah?
It's totally different topic. I don't know. Should I answer it?
Sure.
Fine.
Yeah.
It's a different topic. However, briefly, for the 401k, you go with a very simple formula. You go with the withdrawable or the accessible amount minus any prescribed penalty or tax or administration fees, and the net is zakatable based on 2.5% zakat rate. If you go with the lunar calendar, if you go with the solar calendar like Gregorian calendar, it should be 2.575 to take care of the 10 extra days. So withdrawable amount, accessible amount. If you decide to withdraw as much as you can from your 401k, how much you will be getting an access to? 50%. If you have, for example, if you have 100,000 in your account as of today, and you want, or in Ramadan where you calculate your zakat, then the withdrawable amount is 50,000. If you decide to proceed, you will not be getting 50,000. You will be charged certain charges. So just make a very simple math and deduct all these deductions, tax, penalty, administration fees, whatever. If the net is 45,000, then 45,000 times 2.5%, or to stay safe, 2.575%, because we usually, we calculate our zakah based on the, Gregorian, with the fiscal year, we go usually, not with the lunar year. So 2.575% to accommodate the 10 more days, and that would be the zakah.
You mentioned about the 401k funds option. The employee sponsored 401k has only the limited options. Like it has some bonds and blended funds mostly, one or two stock funds. In that way, how do we design your book?
As I said in my presentation, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Be conscious to Allah as much as you can. Okay, do not forget that having 401k provides a lot of financial stability and security for yourself and for your family members after your death. So there is no way to justify dropping or just giving up your 401k because of the certain percentage of haram involvement. Do your best to purify, do your best to avoid all those haram options. If you can, then you have to do it. Otherwise, just keep it as is and just estimate how much haram involved in it and get rid of that certain percentage whenever you get the money. Simple as that.
Certain credit card companies, they offer you cash back. Is that permissible? You get like 1%, 2%.
You're gonna work a lot today, I guarantee you. Yes, akhi, it is okay because it's a kind of incentive or promotion. Credit cards actually, companies they compete with one another. There are a lot of like credit companies in the market, Chase and Bank of America and Capital One. So in order for them to attract more, customers, they come up with different incentives or different promotion. Sometimes you get like a monetary gift. Sometimes like a non-monetary one. You open a checking account with Chase, you get $100 deposit as a gift. You use a certain credit card, you get like free air miles. Okay, if you like book a ticket with a certain airline company. So all these promotions are halal by default because what's haram is that to lend the money. What's haram or the haram part is that the lender himself makes money out of the money that he lends. But here actually in this scenario, they are losing money, right? And the lender, Bank of America, gives you 100,000, but they do not receive it 100,000. They receive it 97 or 98, and the rest are promotion and points and monetary or non-monetary gifts that they give you. So it's absolutely halal.
I'd like to ask two quick questions. The first question, what are the opinions on index funds, since they're cheaper than mutual funds and can get you the same diversification? And then the second question is, what other investment options are available for when you get closer to retirement and don't want to be as invested in stocks?
What do you mean by index fund? What do you mean by it?
So like index funds, basically what they try to do is match the market instead of where the mutual funds where they're actively trading. So mutual funds usually try to beat the market, and usually that incurs higher fees on your part as well as higher tax disadvantages too, since they're trading more often.
Well,
Yeah, like common index fund, the S&P 500, they just get all of like 10% of each company, and then that's how they distribute that.
regardless of the incentive or the advantages of a certain fund, we need to dig in depth and find out what kind of stocks, what kind of financial instruments you have, whether it is under index fund or under anything else. It doesn't make any difference from a fiqh perspective. I need to find out what kind of portfolio you have, whether it is index or something else. If all what you have in your portfolio are stocks, belong to halal, like by default companies, or their core business is a halal one, the profit, the haram investment and the haram asset and the debt asset ratio, all of them are to the minimum, then that is the ideal option that I can go with. Whether it belongs to an index fund or anything else, it doesn't make a difference.
And I would take this opportunity to introduce Brother Ahmed Al-Qudah, inshallah. We're going to be working on, he's a financial specialist, so he's going to be talking after this. We're going to be coming up with some programs, inshallah, for you about more specific details about funds and, so you can understand them better. But this is a good foundation, so then you can apply that later on, inshallah. Somebody else had the chance, inshallah.
We have sister in the back,
Oh, you have a sister. I think this is the same question somebody else asked earlier, but it's about insurance. Are we responsible for what that company invests its money in other words? And so they're worried about, like, if you buy insurance, but the insurance company is investing its money in something that's not halal, are we responsible for that? And how do we even have to take that into account, basically?
And I think we're talking about like two different things. The first one is the permissibility of the agreement itself. First thing is the permissibility or the legitimacy of the agreement itself. And again, to the best of my knowledge, it is halal. Now, do we have any word to say when it comes to how insurance companies, you know what, how Medicare system invest their money, how Social Security invest their money? We have absolutely no word to say. So that's something like beyond our capacity even to sit down with the Social Security Administration and ask them a question, how do you invest your money? They would say, with all due respect, that's none of your business, right? So as long as the agreement itself is a halal one, which is the case, whether it is government-based or commercial insurance, mutual insurance, then whatever is beyond your capacity, just leave it as is. You have an agreement with a certain terms, certain compensation, certain return on investment when certain incidents happen. That is more than enough to permit the transaction and just to go with it with the peace of mind that you are not doing anything wrong or anything haram. You know.
What is the rule for working for investment company like Fidelity as a financial advisor?
Well, I do not feel comfortable at all being involved with those investment companies, because once you work as a financial advisor, you cannot avoid advising your customers investing in certain instruments in which you do not believe in their permissibility. There are some like very attractive offers for bonds and for derivatives and for other, and so I mean, you cannot tell your customer, you know what, I'm a Muslim, I have to limit myself to this option, I cannot. Well, you are advising him, you are not advising yourself. So honestly, it's not within my comfort zone to work as a financial advisor with Fidelity. If I'm an independent consultant, I will do whatever I believe in, and I will definitely direct my customers to invest in stocks only that I believe they are halal and just keep them away from any other. But when I work for Fidelity, I have to abide with their mainstream and their way of investing money, and definitely they do not care about what kind of instrument, as long as it is more profitable than other options. So the profitability is the motive of the company. The permissibility is your own motive, and there is definitely a clear contradiction between the two. So I do not feel comfortable whatsoever working as a financial advisor, as an employee, as a professional advisor with a company. But to have your own business, your own consultation company, go for it. You will be independent. You say and you apply what you believe is correct.
First of all, Jazakallah khairan for your very illustrious presentation. Thank you so much for taking the time and coming here and giving this presentation. Jazakallah khairan. One question that has already been asked in regard to the 401k and Zakah, I just want to reiterate because 401k, say you gave an example, you have 100,000 balance, and that could fluctuate a lot within the year. It could be 25,000 or 50,000 down the road, or it could be higher. So unless you withdraw, you don't know what's the actual value of that amount. That could fluctuate a lot. How do you determine the zakah?
I'm not sure if I get the question correctly.
I think what he was asking is that the value of the fund, your 401k fluctuates during the year. So when you calculate the zakat, when should you calculate it on what basis? What number?
Well, when you calculate your zakah, you calculate it based on the actual amount that you have in the zakah due date, regardless of the fluctuation of value throughout the whole year long. If you experience more or less inflation, whatever, it doesn't make any difference. In the zakah due date, how much money you have in your account and how much money you will be having an access to if you decide to withdraw. From that actual amount, you can do your math, regardless of what happened throughout the whole year long. Because I assume that the nisab is already matched. The threshold, which is the minimum amount, is already there. It's around 85 grams of gold. It could be $3,600, let's say $4,000, well, let's say $3,000 to stay in the safe side. Well, definitely you have way more than that. So the nisab is there, the threshold is there, and the 1 year already passed. That's hawlan al-hawl. Then whatever you have actually is zakatable, not in total, whatever is accessible. Because 401k actually, supposedly is not to be touched. You wait until the age of retirement, or Allah forbids, in case of disability or death. However, you do have an access to a certain amount. That accessible amount is the zakatable one, based on the formula that you already discussed. So to answer your question, regardless of the fluctuation throughout the whole year long, you go with the zakat you did, the beginning of Ramadan, how much you have, and you do your math from there. The accessible amount.
The accessible amount, I think.
No.
No, I don't think I can answer this for you because I haven't heard this presentation before. But it's even if it's in your account, if you're able to access it, meaning even though it will cost you a penalty and you'll lose some of that principal, whatever is left after that, that is the amount that is zakatable, and that's what you have to pay, even if it's
invested. Yeah. The issue for our case is invested in stocks, and my understanding of investing, you invest your money, that's the investment. You don't pay the account. That's the right understanding, or not?
No, actually, you do pay zakah, and you do not have to physically withdraw the money. That's why I said the accessible amount. So if you decide to withdraw as much as you can, how much you will be having an access to? As I said, 50,000 in our example. You do not have to physically withdraw. You need to ask yourself another question. If I decide to proceed, how much net amount I will be receiving? How much I will be charged? See, yeah, after tax and penalty and administration fees and application fees and whatever the charge might be. You do your math theoretically. The money is still there, untouched, and you pay the account. Okay. And to make a disclaimer, actually here, this is a very discretionary issue. There is no straightforward evidence that 401k is zakatable or not. Scholars, like a group of them, said that 401k is not zakatable, period, because you're supposed not to touch it. So just wait, just sleep on that account until you receive it, okay, by the age of 60, 65, and then you start paying zakat.
Sure.
Others said no.
That's why you pay taxes. Yeah, I have the 401k, it's a haven, you pay taxes.
Other like group of scholars said no. 401k is zakatable in full. You pay zakah 100% on every single dollar that you have, because that's a kind of investment. You make money on an annual basis. Every single year you make money. Now in our fiqh council, actually we hold the stick from the middle. Okay? We came up with a very reasonable approach. We said, well, it's not zakah free, it's not zakah exempt, because that's a kind of investment, and it's not zakatable in full because you have a very limited access. And one of the conditions for the zakatability of the money is al-mulku tam raqabatan. You have to have a full control, okay, as if the money is in your pocket, which is not the case with the 401k. So we said, well, if that's the case, how much you can withdraw? Do just very theoretical math. Okay, you do not have to physically withdraw the money. Do your math, how much withdrawable amount you have. Do your math, how much you will be charged if you decide to proceed. The net amount is zakatable one, and you do the same every single year. Because cash money is zakatable by default. Even if you sleep on that money till next year. For example, this year you made your calculation based on $50,000 and you paid zakah. Those $50,000 actually are still in your account until next year. You still pay zakah on them over and over. Okay? Unlike harvest and agricultural products, for example, if you have like mahasil and zuru and agricultural products, once you pay zakah on them one time, then they are zakah free. That's it. It's a one-time payment. But cash money, gold, silver, and any other currency is zakatable on an annual basis. So you have no choice but to keep investing to set off at least the 2.5% zakat that you pay. No.
I think it's pretty fair.
Jazakallah khair for sharing your expertise. I just had a question about if you can recommend any books, either written by yourself or other scholars who you would respect on these contemporary financial issues?
I'm in the editing stage of publishing a new book called Interest-Bearing Transaction in the U.S. Finance. Inshallah, it will be published soon. You will find it on Amazon, most probably, within, I would say, a few months, inshallah, from now. Yeah, I collected all what I know on this particular topic, and jointly with another professor at Al-Qudah University. His name is Dr. Al-Qudah. He's like my colleague. He's the director of the Islamic Finance Department. We work together on this book, inshallah. It will be published soon. And you will find, inshallah, all what you need in it, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
I think we're just going to have two more questions, one from the sisters and one from the brother, inshallah. And then we're...
He has been raising his hand for me.
So this is kind of broad, and I understand also the answer to be lengthy, so if you'd like to not answer right now, it's okay. But like in regards to like traditional banks and Islamic banks, like on the mortgage as well as also on sukuk versus traditional bonds, what is I guess like to me, like I know there are sometimes differences in the seasoning of collateral, but sometimes the interest, it kind of seems almost like it's like reworded to be a fee as opposed to interest.
We need, Akhil Kareem, more education on the concept of riba from a fiqh perspective. We need to understand the definition of riba and what kind of riba and what are the transactions that are subject to interest or riba. Because as you said, sometimes like a certain charge is called or labeled as overdraft fees, as interest, as penalty, as profit, late payment, thank you. Okay? And from a fiqh perspective, from a sharia perspective, it could be interest, could be something else. So it's all about education. If we know very well what does riba or interest mean, then we can say, well, this particular charge, late payment, is not late. Well, in the industry, it's called late payment. But from my perspective, oh, it's interest. Then so I have to avoid it. This one is called overdraft charge. It's not called interest. Okay, in the industry, in the business, in the banking system, it's called overdraft charge. You know what does mean overdraft charge? Like when you have a debit card and you make a transaction.
I guess I mean it more the like not so much on like that small low. I mean more like on the terms of like even government funding with securities versus traditional bonds.
Yeah, well, the concept actually is the same. If you have a bond, for example, okay, if you hold a bond, okay, and the government gives you profit, they call it profit and not interest. Just for example, would that be enough to permit holding bonds? My answer is no, because even if the return, if the revenue is called profit, from an Islamic perspective, that's an interest, because you are lending the money. Okay, you guarantee your principal, the amount that you give, you get it back plus extra money. That's a loan contract with interest. So if the return is called profit, it's called revenue, it's called bonus, called whatever they want to call it, it's still interest. Why? Because I know that the nature of the transaction is that it is an interest-bearing loan. I lend the government certain amount of money and they receive it with extra. I give the Uncle Sam 1,000 and I give it back. I get it back 1,200. That $200 extra are interest.
Well, what about an example of like a mortgage? Okay, you say, okay, I'm going to give you this house for $200,000, and you pay me back $250,000 like in the future at this set price we determined. That would be like his on a thing. Like, would be like what? How is that not considered interest? Like
It is. Yeah.
like on some other kinds of fees, but like it seems like it could almost be interest in a way as well.
Well, it is counted as an interest because, again, it's all about education. I need to know exactly what is the nature, what is the mechanism of mortgage business in the U.S. From my perspective as a Muslim, if you want to break down the mortgage system in the U.S., you will find out that it does have 3 different transactions. There is a sale contract involved, where you buy a house from the landlord. That's one transaction. It has its own rules. And there is a loan agreement, where you go to a mortgage company to mortgage that property for you, or to buy it for you. So you borrow money from the mortgage company. Okay? The mortgage company actually does not buy the house and sell it to you. No, they lend you the money, but instead of giving you cash money, they just go and give the money on your behalf to whom? To the landlord. Are you following up with me? That's one agreement. And the third one is the actual mortgage, where the mortgage company puts a lien, or they mortgages the property to secure their money. So, let me finish. So we ended up with having sale contract, loan contract, and a mortgage contract. Now, because we know that the sale contract is halal and the mortgage contract is halal, our concern is with the loan contract in between. See, that is a very traditional riba, or interest-based way of financing homes. See, if you want to do it properly, like Islamically, okay, it has to be done through a murabaha one. Murabaha means cost plus finance mode. You need to ask the bank to buy the property, or the mortgage company to buy the property.
So the bank inherently is not buying the property, but in a sense they are, because if you default on that loan immediately, the bank then, if they have to choose whatever they conceive as collateral, so they can take that house, but like let's say all of a sudden they can't sell. So that's why they do appraisals, like, because in a sense they're not technically owning the property, like, but they kind of are, because that's their only source of repayment if it's secured by.
They do not own the property. You are the owner of the property. However, they are the lien holder. They are the lien holder. Lien holder actually is different than the owner. You are the owner. Mortgage company is the lender. You are the borrower. You are the landlord after you close on the property. And again, in order for them to secure their money, they put a lien. They mortgage the property. So they hold the title as a lien holder, not as an owner. You are the owner.
But if you default, if I got a loan, I lose my job.
I agree. But this actually does not make them owners. Yeah. Again, from a fiqh, point of view, holding a title as a lien holder is not a legal ownership. You are the owner. You see? Yes, I agree with you that whenever you default, they just jump in and they foreclose and they get you out of the house and they just get the house back. Once the property is foreclosed, then the bank actually becomes the owner. See what I'm saying? But as long as you are punctual, you pay on time, then you are the owner, you are the borrower, they are the lender, and the lien holder. They put a lien on the property to restrict your ownership until you pay them in full. Once the whole mortgage amount, based on the amortization, the principal plus the interest is paid off, then you're good to go. You have like a clear title. Did I answer your question?
I've got a lot.
Okay, the best option for you is to join Al-Qudah University. I'm serious. And to take fiqh of transaction classes. You will enjoy it. It will break down and just analyze all these transactions. You will understand, more what I said now. Because you know the definition of riba and you know the transactions who are subject to. We have like 2 different courses. Fiqh of transaction. Fiqh means like jurisprudential rules or like Islamic verdict. Fiqh. Have you heard this term before? Fiqh? Fiqh. So fiqh of transaction 1 and fiqh of transaction 2. If you take those two courses, you will build that solid fiqh background in which you will be able to analyze those agreements and to pass a judgment on them from a fiqh perspective. يا ربي بالمصطفى بلغ مقاصدنا واغفر لنا وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
My question may be twofold, but when you're dealing with halal and haram, and you deal with property, and you're in the process of trying to move something that's halal, that's haram to halal, and the situation with the property is that in order for me to do that, I have to sacrifice ownership of my present property with the halal company, where if I venture into the contract, I lose 50% of the value of my property right now, which I've sacrificed on my own. And if I go into this contract with them, I go in with them owning most of my house. It's not going to be a lien. It's going to be that they're going to have partnership in my property. And if I agree with this contract, which I don't feel like is really allowed, my heirs lose out. So if I go into a contract with them and I pass away, then there's nothing to say that this company will take total ownership of my house because it's a partnership. And the only two parties involved in a partnership would be myself and the halal company. So I guess my question is real wide open, and I'm just trying to seek advice. I don't have the contract, and I'm waiting to share the contract with a party that I've already spoken with. So I guess my question is if I should continue to move forward, but I'm trying to live my life peaceably love for the pressure of my Lord. But it looks like this would take a lot from me and my family.
So I just want to make sure that I understood you correctly. Did you say that you already financed your house in a traditional way with a mortgage company, and now you entertain or you consider the idea of refinancing in a halal way with one of those Islamic mortgage companies? I see. Well, the only company that deserves to do refinance with that is more Sharia compliant or halal is Guidance Residential for the time being. If the only option is to refinance with Devon Bank or with the University Islamic Financial, you do not need to bother, just stay as is. If you can refinance with Guidance Residential, then it deserves the sacrifice, because the level of Sharia compliance of Guidance Residential is way better than other companies. Is there any real partnership between you and them? I would say up to a certain limit, yes. However, their model is not 100% perfect. They do have some glitches in their contract, but overall speaking, the option of Guidance Residential is reasonable comparison to others. If I'm in your position, I would highly consider refinancing with Guidance. Why should I refinance? Because if I stay as is, I have to keep paying interest. And that is, as we all know, that's haram. If you refinance with Guidance, what will happen is that they're gonna pay off that loan on your behalf and just start with you from scratch, which is the partnership or the diminishing partnership. See, they get involved with you as partners. They buy the property and they start, selling and renting their shares to you gradually until you end up with having 100% ownership versus 0%. You kick them out of the deal. Their model is reasonable, given the circumstances in the U.S. If we live somewhere else and there is another option that is more Sharia compliant, I would say do not go with Guidance. But in the U.S., I would say that is the most reasonable option that gives you a peace of mind that you are not committing riba anymore, and you just do it in a halal way.
So the last question, inshallah, you've been waiting for a while, so.
Since this is the last question, I make it fun. First, you mentioned getting rid of the haram part of the money. What can you do with it? Can you give it to the poor? Can you give it to the masjid? Whatever. The second part is, what's your take about people that buy the lottery all the time? Just wishing they win millions and stuff like that. And finally, what do you say about Muslim countries that invest people's money in this country and Europe and all that stuff?
I'll go backward. So, for the third question, Akhi, you can ask like Muslim scholars in the Middle East, in the Muslim countries. I do not have an answer for that because I do not know.
I didn't mention any countries. I mean, what do you think? What was your...
Yes, as I said, Akhi, I do not know who is investing what and what kind of investment they have. So I have no clue. I have no data.
Since we're on the same subject.
Yeah, I do not know what kind of investment you are referring to. So I do not know whether that investment is a halal or a haram one. The second question, gambling and having lottery is of course haram. So making money out of gambling and doing lottery is a haram source of income. And that money actually could not be permitted by any way. First question, if someone generated haram money, then he or she has to get rid of that money. You cannot use that money to spend on yourself or on your dependents. However, anybody else can benefit from that money, including the masjid itself. Because the money cannot be haram by itself. It could be haram because of the way that you generated it. So what you have taken as an interest, I'm sorry, not you. If someone has taken money as an interest, that is a haram money because it came through interest way. Once you give the money, spend the money, give it to somewhere else or somebody else, it's not an... Can I finish, Akhi? Once you pay the money to others, it's not a riba anymore. And inshallah you will be rewarded with the intention of getting rid of the haram money. It will not be counted as sadaqah, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pure and does not accept but what is pure. But you do not pay it as a sadaqah. You pay it with the intention of getting rid of the haram money. You were able to keep the money and spend the money, yet you have sacrificed that for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you get rid of that money. Because of the pure intention of getting rid of the haram money, inshallah you will be rewarded. Now once you decide to spend the money, then whosoever receives the money, as long as he or she is not among your dependents, not your parents, not your kids or grandchildren, then the money actually is a halal by default. That's why you can put it in the masjid. You can give it to Al-Qudah University. You can give it to any individual who is in need for it. No.
I think we're going to end it there, but I think generally people would want to know, if they want more information, what are the best methods? I think I can say one of them is take a class at the Guidance College of the University. Your book is coming out. Any other suggestions for people?
And I think, again, as I said to my brother here, it's all about education. This is an area that we need as a Muslim community to invest a lot in educating ourselves. We live in a non-Muslim society. The economic system and the financial system is a non-Islamic one. And we struggle with that as practicing people. We want to preserve our Muslim identity, okay, in our transaction, our business, in the same way that we do it with our ibadat. So to reach to that level, how to challenge the system and how to avoid what's haram and how to do what's halal, we need a lot of education. And that's where Al-Qudah University actually stands. We are all about education. I've been visiting this masjid for 3 times. The main reason behind the visit is to educate the Muslim community. We need to sit down together and just learn and educate and benefit from one another. One of the ways of learning actually is to join like a structured class. Take a class, for example, with the Al-Qudah University. Even if you are not interested in having a degree, at least you can choose those classes that you are in need for. An attorney, for example, like a family affairs attorney. He or she can take maybe a Muslim family law 1 and Muslim family law 2. Inheritance and marriage and divorce, and just for education purposes. And definitely if you pursue a degree, that will be a plus, I would say. No, Jazakallah khair.